Yeah.
This sounds very true.
Yeah.
So, we are here today, Dear Taylor and Benji Wragg, to talk shit.
Yeah.
And this is Milo. This is my baby son. Hello.
Oh.
He's a good boy.
Yes.
He's 8. Little 8-year-old. So, Benny, tell us about your films.
Well, they're not very good.
Well, they're not the worst. So, what was the first short you ever made?
The first short I ever made, or the first real short I ever made?
Let's go the first short you ever made.
I made a short with my friend Peter, Peter Vinowski. And it was...
that Peter.
Yeah, yeah. It was about a roommate who was trying to make her household a lot more environmentally friendly.
Oh.
Yeah.
That one. Is that the shower one?
Yeah, that's the one where we all got naked in the shower.
I love that one. What inspired that?
Oh, I was just, when you live with roommates, you all have different rules and everything like that. And sometimes some roommates won't follow the rules. So you feel like an absolute bastard. And I thought it would be hilarious to sort of take that in the more extreme direction.
I like it. I remember the first short film I ever did. I was in high school. It was called Beauty and the Beast. We shot it at my old place in Geelong when I lived with my mum. And it was about this guy in his garden who's freaking out because he killed his partner and he sees a ghost. So
always an uplifting comedy romp with you, isn't it?
It was from then on, everyone's like, Dia, why do you always make films with death? And I decided to go with it for the rest of my career, apparently. So...
Well, they say, death, taxes, and monopoly.
What?
Just the never-ending things.
Never-ending things, Monopoly? I don't know. I lost a game of Monopoly the other week to Daniel, actually. So, but no.
Well, I've seen your bank account. I can understand.
Yeah, no, valid. Okay, what's the best short you've made, in your opinion?
Don't know. I suppose Dark and Cottage from a technical standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But The Ballad of Captain Vengeance is my favourite.
Why is it your favourite?
I don't know. I just think it's more quirky and, I like the sort of twists in it.
I remember that.
The idea, that you become a parent. Because, everyone has to have a superpower to become a superhero. But Batman's, superpower is just money and that his parents died. So the idea of I'll just kill my parents and then I'll become a superhero.
Yeah, I like that. It was a good twist.
Yeah.
A horror, again, kind of?
Yeah.
I remember that. Do a lot of horrors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it's the more bigger. It's a genre where you can do a lot more in than
than others. Yeah, no, I've been getting into horror a lot lately too. I've been watching a lot of Mike Flanagan stuff.
Ah, yes, very nice.
Yeah, like Haunting of Hill House, Bly Manor, Midnight Mass. I'm rewatching again, which is really good. But I have never really done a horror per se, because what are they like? Blue was a drama. Little
Miseries was a horror.
It was a drama horror.
Yeah.
It was leaning more towards the character aspects. But it's never been a full-on, horror.
Little Miseries reminded me a lot more of, Warm Bodies.
Yeah, kind of like that. I based it originally on this limited series called In the Flesh. A British TV show about zombies being rehabilitated back into society. And it's serious, and it's the way it's shot I wanted to kind of emulate, and I think I did. So I wanted to copy that, but to do a horror would be good. They're popular at the moment.
I think they've always been popular in a way.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
I think it's, on one level, people like to be scared. And on another level, because of the breadth of it, you can tell any sort of story.
Yeah.
So if you want to talk about George R. Mero's zombie films, they're not zombie films; they're more social commentary.
Yeah, that's true. I guess by scaring people, you can get into the underlying depth of, yeah.
Yeah, and you can kind of explore the fears of the time.
Yeah, fears of the time.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, by watching Mike Flanagan stuff, I'm really, really getting into it. Like, he emulates the style that I wanted to emulate when I was younger. The whole character-driven narratives, the horror intertwined, the twists, the time jumps, the monologues. He loves his monologues.
Yeah.
And they're all brilliant. Yeah.
I was watching a British show last night. It was like a 90s comedy British show. And I was just amazed at how different it is from like American sort of sitcom comedy. And the idea like the jokes are more like conversation based. It's not like, you say a line, I say a line type of thing. It was more like, it felt more like a conversation and jokes were coming out of more of a conversation.
Yeah, I guess the Brits are like that. It's interesting looking at different things from different countries and seeing how they're all very different. Like,
it was almost like a play.
Yeah, I remember reading once that someone likened American cinema to it's all about the events and the action and what's happening, whereas European cinema,
sort of spectacle.
Yeah, whereas European cinema, it's more about the underlying message, the characters, the things they're not saying. And I think that's true. You watch like Amélie, the French film, and it's about the character dynamics. It's who she is and what she feels as she goes through things. Whereas if America did it, it would just be like, oh, this weird girl.
Yeah. I think they make the best sort of horror films as well. The ones that like study the character.
What's it called? Elevated horror?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming around a lot. Elevated horror.
Like trying to think like the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Which is, it's a good film. It's fine. But like, if you compare that to say like a movie like Sinister,
Yeah.
Sinister's more like it's a horror and there's spookiness and there's a demon and a mystery and all that. But it's more focused on the father and his obsession with trying to like solve the case and how he dooms his family.
Yeah,
by
valid.
not letting the case go.
Valid. I've seen Sinister once or twice, and I don't know, it seemed somewhat flat to me. But you saying that, no, I see that. So he's the one to blame in a way.
Well, yeah.
Not letting it go. Yeah.
But at the time, I think it was James Wan who at least helped produce it. He was doing films that sort of did like speak to that sort of thing. Like in Insidious, the one thing you would always say, like when you watch Poltergeist or, those sort of films is always like Amityville Horror, like why don't you just leave? And in Insidious, like, that's one of the first things they do.
Yeah.
They had to sort of change the story to make it that the person's haunted.
Yes, that is clever. Yeah, because you're always like, just get out of there. Don't go back in. No, you're right. You're right. Oh, you're right. You look into horror more and more, and you learn these things. What's your favorite horror?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
Yeah, right. I used to say The Shining was one of mine.
Yeah.
But recently, obviously, all the Mike Flanagan stuff. The Others. I love The Others.
That's a great film.
Yes. Underrated. The Mist.
That's another good one. Stephen King famously said the ending of the film The Mist is better than his ending in the book.
Yeah. And it was a low budget film too. Like, it wasn't big.
It's not a particularly good
It's
book.
not. No, I haven't read it.
It's pretty stock standard. It's a group of people stuck in a supermarket where there's creatures outside.
But it's all about the character dynamics. That's the thing again, and how you put these characters, these most unlikely characters to ever meet or talk, and you shove them in a room where they can't escape, and then you document what happens. That's what I love. That's why I love character stories, because it's like, what would these people do? It's like you think about yourself and someone you'd never want to be in a room with. Like, how would you react? What would you do?
Yeah, there's a lot of like forgotten horror films that do that, and I think it's just because they fall flat in different parts. But sometimes, like, one or two good actors can like elevate it. Like Bird Box. Box.
Bird
So,
Box, yes.
thinking, I personally thought it was a very interesting idea, but I don't know. Most of the film just didn't do it for me. But John Malkovich, I thought was amazing in it, especially the scene where he's talking with Sandra Bullock in the kitchen.
That's right. That's right. That's another. See, that film as well is another great film. These characters being stuck in this place where they have to coincide. Another great horror is a film called Pontypool. It's a Canadian horror about, and it's low budget and it's done so well. It's about these Canadian radio hosts who get all these calls in, and as they get the calls, they realize they surviving the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
And just how they all react to each other. It's brilliant. Brilliant again.
I'd say the best one of just the situation and how would you deal with it is also possibly one of my favorite horror films. It's probably the best horror film ever made. The Thing.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
yes.
So, that's a very slow burn sort of build the paranoia.
Unless you speak Swedish.
Well, even then, that the dog's the alien, but that doesn't, the dog being the alien is revealed half an hour in. That doesn't, it's the people.
Yeah. So what happens basically? The start of the film, the guy chasing the dog with the gun, yelling in Swedish or Dutch or something. You don't understand him. There's no subtitles, but what he's saying is basically the dog is not a dog.
Yeah, it's the thing.
It's the thing. Yeah, it's oh no, that's a brilliant film. Yeah, once again, a character stuck together, but with something else.
Yeah,
in there.
each one has their great motivation.
Yeah.
The blood scene is probably the best horror scene ever.
The blood scene.
The scene where he, works out that each part of the alien operates on its own to defend itself, and he heat up a needle and touch the blood and it will react.
Yes.
Does it one by one. Yeah.
Oh god, and they're all they're stuck to the chair. That one. Yes. And then, oh shit, the alien's stuck next to them. Oh god.
Yeah.
That's a sci-fi horror.
Yeah.
Sci-fi horror. What are some other good sci-fi horrors? I personally love Event Horizon.
That's a great one.
I remember it being coined a haunted house in space.
Yeah.
Because you can't get out of it. You're stuck there. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else?
Go to hell. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Get Out.
Get Out is great.
That's one of my favorite.
That is great. A socio-political horror.
Yeah.
Kinda. Yeah. That I was talking with Dan, my partner, the other day about it actually, and he's like, it's more of a thriller than a horror, whereas Us is more of a horror than a thriller. And I was like, how elaborate on that? And what he said was it's all about the threat itself, and in Get Out, the threat is the people, whereas in Us it's more of the supernatural aspect of there being doubles. So, now Jordan Peele's doing great. Have you seen Nope?
Yes, I really enjoyed it. I didn't think it was a horror. It's a sci-fi.
I don't know. It scared me.
Really?
It literally scared me. It reminded me of I don't know. When I was a kid, I had a terrible fear of the Scooby-Doo movie. When they're at the park, and the ghouls take all the people, and it kind of reminded me of that. Ghouls taking people, and it's
Yeah, I actually really liked Nope because it was so different to his other films.
Yeah.
I'd like to see, because he's a very good director, so I like to see him being versatile and doing other things. Yeah.
Well, that's what we always try to do. Be versatile, try new things. Like I said, I want to try a horror. For my next feature, I want to do a horror. But that's in the far future. But I've noticed a lot of people in the indie scene really like horrors. They really want to be involved in them.
Yeah, what do you think that is?
I don't know. I really don't. It
seems to be horror and drama. Seem to be the two big ones I've noticed.
Well, drama's easy to do.
Yeah.
At least I think it is. Horror, I don't know. I guess from a business point of view, there's a market for it. But people don't make films because they want to sell them, unfortunately. They make films because they want to make them. And maybe just the whole aspect of being able to be more creative, being able to, you know, use blood in creative ways and stuff like that.
You think it's also a way for people to explore their fears?
Oh, that's an idea, yeah. Yeah.
Hence why I make horror films exclusively on commitment.
That would actually be a pretty cool horror. That would be a really good horror, actually.
Of course I love you.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Now I need to go to the store and buy some cigarettes.
Oh, yeah.
So many families across Australia.
Across the world. Yeah, God.
Actually, have you ever seen a movie in the 80s called Stepfather?
I saw the remake.
Okay, the remake's shit.
It wasn't the best.
I
I was like, Penn Badgley and what's her face? Amber Heard are just fooling around again, not doing anything.
The 80s version is one of those movies where, it's like, you know, a 1-star performance. Like, you know, it's just the dad.
Yeah,
but
who was the dad?
Terry Quinn.
Who's that?
He's the guy from Lost.
Ah.
Yeah. But he basically, if you took, I think one reviewer said, if you took out all the horrible murder scenes from The Stepfather, it would be a very touching melodrama about a stepdad trying to connect with his stepdaughter.
The murder scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
he acts really well, really carefully.
Yeah. No, that's valid. I'll have to watch it. It's on my list. One thing I love about streaming is I've been able to catch up on so many films I've never been able to see or find. So, no, that is definitely on there. It's definitely on there.
Sometimes I think with horror though, like the trick is like you want to scare the audience and you want to like, you know, inflict a lot of fear and emotion into them. But you also need to know when to draw that line.
Yeah.
You know, because you don't want to make it unwatchable.
True.
Like I think with Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh, good God.
Like I enjoy it. I think it's a very interesting film, and the message that the director was trying to get forth is very interesting. But also to a lot of people, it's completely unwatchable.
It is a bit gruesome. Well, they did that whole publicity stunt, didn't they?
Yeah.
Where it's like actors go into hiding, don't talk to people.
Yeah. And I think sometimes that can ruin the message.
Yeah. I met an actor recently who said that she was doing a film and part of her contract was she had to like delete all her social media for a while and disappear. I'm like, why? Why?
We have the internet. We're going to find out.
Exactly. It's like, yeah. Maybe, 30, 40 years ago, yeah, sure, hide. But now it's, I don't know.
But also, like, horror can take in a lot more other genres than I think other genres can take in.
Like what?
Well, like, you can have a horror movie that's also a Western. You can have, like, a horror movie that's also, like, a thriller or, like, whereas...
It's a subgenre.
Yeah, it's very hard to make, like, an action film that's also, like, a full-on horror.
I mean, it's doable.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah.
Are there action horrors?
I mean... I would say... Is it Daybreakers? I would say is an action horror.
Is it? Daybreak is an action horror.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Is there... I mean, there is a tiny bit of action in it. Well, I guess that's been a segment on horrors.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else to yammer about, but yeah. Thanks for watching this random thing.
Yep.